She has already beaten 4 players who were supposed to break her, plus a 5th even more dangerous than the rest. And now she's walking into a match that could undo all of it in under an hour. So why does she look calmer than ever? Something happened in Washington that nobody has fully explained. Something is different about the way she's moving through Cincinnati. Like she already knows something the rest of us don't. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that is, and why the next match on her schedule might be the most dangerous trap disguised as an opportunity that she has ever walked into. Because on paper, this looks like a mismatch in her favor. A rising star against a wounded contender, a number 17 seed against a number 10. But tennis doesn't work on paper. And traps never look like traps until it's too late to walk back out of them. To understand what's about to happen, you need to understand what already happened. And it starts with a name that until recently most casual fans had never heard. Alex, 21 years old, left-handed, quiet, the kind of player who doesn't scream after big points, doesn't throw her racket, doesn't need the crowd to feel something before she does. She just wins quietly, repeatedly, devastatingly. A few weeks ago in Washington, she did something that should have made headlines everywhere, but somehow slipped past most of the tennis world. She beat 5 opponents in a row to win her first ever WTA title. Not against nobodies, against real, dangerous, elite competition. She beat Jing Qinwen. She beat Fernandez. She beat Svitolina. She beat Osaka. For wins, for statements, and she wasn't finished. The 5th one is the one people are still talking about. In the final, she faced someone who was supposed to be out of her league entirely, top seed Jessica Pegula. Alex didn't win that match cleanly. She didn't dominate from start to finish. She lost the first set. Actually lost it. Stood on the other side of the net from one of the best players on the planet, and watched the set slip away. Most players crumble there. Most 21-year-olds start overthinking, start rushing, start hoping instead of playing. Alex reset instead. And in the deciding set, she didn't just win, she erased Pegula. 6-0. A set against a top-tier player in the world, and her opponent didn't take a single game. That's not luck. That's not a hot streak. That's a player discovering in real time exactly how good she actually is. 5 wins, 1 title, and she still wasn't done. Right after that, she went to Toronto and kept the run going, extending her winning streak to 7 matches before Belinda Bencic finally ended it in straight sets. By the time she lands in Cincinnati, the numbers alone tell a simple story. A player on the best run of her career, riding pure momentum into the next round. But numbers like that never tell you who's waiting on the other side of the draw. And that's the part of this story that changes everything. Waiting for her in the round of 32 is a player who represents something completely different from anyone she's faced this summer. Someone who doesn't want to rally with her, doesn't want to test her patience, doesn't want to see how many balls Alex can send back. Someone who wants the point over before Alex even has time to think. Her name is Amanda Anisimova, ranked 10th in the world, seeded 9th in this tournament. Earlier this year, Anisimova dealt with a real and well-documented left wrist injury, one that forced her out of multiple tournaments during the clay season. She's since come back and kept competing, including a run through Toronto just weeks ago. Whatever lingering effect that injury has on her game right now isn't something anyone can say for certain, and it's worth being honest about that instead of guessing. What we do know is that she's a player whose season has been interrupted, and interruptions like that sometimes show up as rust, and sometimes show up as nothing at all. On paper, that should make things easier for Alex. But interrupted doesn't always mean weaker, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps a match unpredictable instead of settled before it even begins. Now consider how Alex actually got here, because the road matters more than people realize. Her opening match should have told us everything and nothing at the same time. She was up against a player named Ruse, and it was going well, very well. 6-1, 3-0, when the match suddenly stopped. Ruse was hurt. A foot injury that had clearly been bothering her the entire match, visible in every step, every hesitation before she moved to the ball. She retired. Alex advanced. But underneath that scoreline sits an uncomfortable truth. We still don't actually know how good Alex was that day, because we don't know how good her opponent even was. It wasn't a real test. It was a mirage of dominance, a scoreline that looks convincing until you realize the opponent was already compromised before the match had properly started. What we can say for certain is narrower, but still telling. Alex gave away no cheap points. She converted 5 breakpoint chances out of 5, an almost unervingly perfect number. She didn't hit a single double fault. Discipline is the word that keeps surfacing. Not fire, not flash. Discipline. And discipline is a quiet thing right up until the moment it isn't, right up until it becomes the only thing standing between a player and total collapse under pressure. Now weigh that against what Anisimova just did on the other side of the draw, because this is where the tension really starts to build. She faced a player named Sonmez and didn't just win, she made a statement. 6-2, 6-3. She landed 63% of her first serves and won 68% of those points. She hit 7 aces. And here's the number that should genuinely worry you if you're rooting for Alex. Anisimova dominated the return games, pulling in roughly 30 return points across the match to Sonmez's return output of barely half that. That's not a player who struggles to break serve. That's a player whose return game is a weapon in itself, a player who doesn't wait for chances. She manufactures them. That number matters enormously here, because Alex's serve was never built to overpower anyone. It was built on placement, on setting up her forehand, on creating just enough of an opening to take control of the point on her own terms. If that first serve isn't landing consistently, Anisimova isn't going to wait politely for a second chance. She's going to step inside the baseline and take the second serve early, hit it flat, hit it deep, and try to end the point before it even becomes a point. This is the first real fault line in the match, the first place where everything could collapse quickly if Alex isn't careful. But if all Anisimova had to do is serve well and return well, this wouldn't be nearly as compelling as it actually is. Alex has a weapon of her own, and it isn't subtle once it gets going. Her forehand, left-handed, loaded with heavy topspin, built to do one thing extraordinarily well: push opponents backward again and again until cracks start to form. And there's a very specific target for that forehand in this match, Anisimova's backhand. If Alex can get that ball high, get it deep, get it landing again and again into that side of the court, she can take away Anisimova's favorite contact point, force her backward, off balance, uncomfortable, hitting from positions she doesn't want to hit from. But if Anisimova gets to that forehand early, before it is time to push her back, she can redirect all of that pace right back at Alex and instantly flip the point from defense to attack. So now you can see it. Two players, two completely different philosophies about how a point should end. One wants it over in 1, 2, maybe 3 shots. The other wants to stretch it out, make you hit one more ball, then another, until something breaks. This is where the real battle of this match actually lives, not in the score, not in the ranking, but in something almost invisible if you're not paying close attention: rally length. If points stay short, 1 to 3 shots, Anisimova has a clear, significant advantage. That's her territory, that's where her game thrives. But if the rally stretches to 4, 5, 6 shots, something shifts. The match becomes balanced, contested, unpredictable. And if it goes even longer than that, 7, 8 shots or more, the advantage tips toward Alex, because of her movement, her defensive range, her ability to keep spinning that ball heavy and deep even when she's under pressure, even when she's been pushed to the corner, even when logic says she should already be broken down. Everything about this match comes down to one question: how many times can Alex force a 4th shot? If the answer is often, this tilts toward her. If the answer is rarely, Anisimova takes control and probably doesn't let go. There's another layer to this, something that should give Alex real hope, quietly sitting underneath all the statistics. Anisimova has a vulnerability on serve that hasn't gone away. 5 double faults against Sonmez in her last match. 9 double faults in a recent match against Svitolina. 9. That's not a small crack. That's a visible fault line running straight through her game. And Alex's return has proven again and again this summer to be exceptionally good at finding cracks like that and widening them. So Anisimova is caught in a bind that's almost uncomfortable to watch unfold. She needs to attack Alex's second serve aggressively to take control of points, but she can't afford to give away free points on her own second serve, because Alex will punish that mercilessly. Pressure on both sides of every single point, no easy service games for either player. That's the kind of match that turns physically and mentally exhausting fast, the kind where composure becomes just as important as talent. There's one more number worth carrying into this match, and it should make you nervous if you're on Alex's side: 55%. If her first serve percentage drops to that level or lower, Anisimova is going to get so many opportunities to attack the second serve that it stops being a battle and starts being a rout. Alex doesn't need a serve at 70% to survive this. But she absolutely cannot afford to start point after point already on the back foot, already defending, already reacting instead of dictating. So where does that leave us? This matchup is fascinating for reasons that go beyond a name on a bracket. Alex has already proven she can handle elite power. Osaka, Pegula, Svitolina. These aren't easy names. These are players who can end points in a blink, players who hit through people for a living. And Alex found a way through every one of them using the exact same blueprint she's going to need here. Absorb the pace, defend the corners relentlessly, force the other player to manufacture something spectacular under pressure instead of just handing them free winners. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern, and patterns in sports are rarely accidental. But this is where the puzzle stops being comfortable, and it's worth sitting with instead of rushing past. Anisimova genuinely has the easier path to victory in this specific match. If she gets her first strike working early, if she keeps points short, if she doesn't let Alex extend rallies past 3 or 4 shots, this could be over faster than anyone expects, faster than a ranking gap alone would suggest. This isn't a guaranteed story of the underdog rising. This is a genuine collision of 2 completely different theories about how tennis should be played, and only one of them survives contact with the other today. And that's the trap sitting underneath the seeding numbers. Not a wounded contender waiting to be brushed aside, but a player built specifically to end things before Alex ever gets the chance to show what makes her dangerous in the first place. It's not about whether Alex can hang with elite power anymore. She already answered that question in Washington. It's about whether she can solve a completely different kind of problem, whether she can bend a match that starts on someone else's terms back into her own shape before it's too late. Whether that heavy, relentless forehand can outlast someone who refuses to give her the extended rallies she craves. Whether discipline can outduel urgency. So here's the call, because after everything we've just walked through, you deserve an actual answer, not just a question hanging in the air. Alex's return game, her defensive coverage, and her ability to survive the first 3 shots of a rally give her just enough of an edge, if her first serve holds up under pressure. That's the condition everything else depends on. Alex in 3 sets. Something in the range of 6-4, 3-6, 6-4, with the match swinging on exactly the number we talked about earlier. How many times she can drag Anisimova into that 4th shot? If she does it often, this becomes the story of a player who didn't just survive a completely different style of tennis, she solved it. And if she doesn't, if Anisimova keeps finding ways to end points before that 4th shot ever arrives, this becomes the match where the run finally hits a wall. Either way, we're about to find out something we didn't know a week ago. Not just who's better on paper, but who actually understands how to win the war that's about to unfold on that court.